I want to go over the Purah Lich Queen video. I'll call it Purah because I want to. Anyway, so the Purah Lich Queen Theory really excels when it's shown in a timeline, from her early life to the 100-year Calamity Gap, to the present in Breath of the Wild, to the time between Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, to the present in Tears of the Kingdom, and then ultimately the future. So, in her early life, Pura was a top Sheikah researcher. Um, she likely had access to secrets that normal people didn't have access to. Uh, she's always been kind of prideful and very, very intelligent. Now, the Sheikah as a whole tried to create an immortal army by the form of the Guardians, however, that ultimately backfired. And so, Pura witnessed the calamity and saw that machines are able to be corrupted. This will become important later. So that's her mindset right now. So, in the 100-year gap after the calamity, she basically did nothing, because she really hasn't amounted to much. What we know she did is that she upgraded the runes on the Sheikah Slate and fixed the cameras on the Sheikah Slate. She also took her first steps at immortality, and seems to give Robbie a faulty version. Because Robbie, yes, assumes the form of a kid, but a kid with wrinkles. You can see him on his prime, and then him after Pura's uh, method. To give Pura the most credit possible, she maybe created the Hateno Ancient Tech Lab, but I don't think that's the case, and we'll see why in a little bit. So here's what I think actually happened in the 100-year gap. She formulated a master plan to take over Hyrule, and she also got Simon as a sort of apprentice. She found a way to prevent Guardians from locking onto her, because we can see at the top of her tech lab there's a Guardian, so she has access to Guardian parts, and so it's not like impossible that she was also originally working on the Guardians, so she knows how to prevent them from targeting people. And so she found a way to prevent them from targeting her specifically. That means she could travel anywhere where Guardians are and not have to worry, because Guardians, they deter a lot of people. They deter most people. Now, she used this access to utilize a secret tech lab underneath the sacred ground without fear of being seen by others. Now, as you can see on the right, the sacred ground is this area. It becomes known as Lookout Landing later, but I believe that there is an underground to this that is not shown in any of the games. That is a secret lab for all the Sheik attack. And I believe that during this 100-year gap, she created and tested most of the Pura technology we see in Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. So let's talk about locations, because we have to take into account of the Royal Tech Lab. I believe it was a cover, because why would you make this lab out in the open? Right? Wouldn't that just open you up for attacks? Because after the calamity, we see it's like a pile of rubble. It's one of the most destroyed buildings out there. Like Ganon obviously had it as a high priority target. And secondly, why not making the Sheikah style that all the other Sheikah like? I mean, obviously, the Sheikah would enjoy having a Sheikah building. Why make it in a brick style? Right? Now, I believe the sacred ground is where the real and dangerous experiments were, because just look at it. It's a bunker, and we don't know what's under there. Well, we do know, but that's a cover story. Okay? If you wanted to have a bunch of hidden and secret experiments that no one on the surface knows about, and that's hidden from any potential future threats, you would definitely put it here. and you wouldn't tell anyone else about it. You just put it here, right? Now, let's talk about the Akala and Hateno ancient tech labs. I believe they were made pre-Calamity because of the housing market. So, we can see in the Hateno tech lab, it is on a mountain, and it's a pretty big place. And it's got like underground wiring. Took a while to set up, I bet. It's got a guardian on top. It's prime real estate, okay? And so only the royal family could afford this properly. I mean, you think Pura, with her researcher salary, would be able to afford this? No. I think it was given to her before the Great War, the Calamity. Now, as I mentioned, the Hateno Tech Lab is on a hill. And we can see in Tears of the Kingdom that there is a cave underneath this hill. However, we cannot access it in Breath of the Wild. Now, I believe she's keeping a bunch of experiments there because she's doing a lot of research. You know, the people in town already think the tech lab is sketchy. So, you should keep the even more sketchy parts underground, hidden, concealed. So, let's skip over to the Breath of the Wild time. So, Pura hears that Link is awake. You know, he woke up at the Shrine of Resurrection. She's like, oh shoot, he's probably gonna come to me and want to know what I've been doing. So she goes and travels to the Hateno Tech Lab. Travels from the Sacred Ground to the Hateno Tech Lab. Now she runs some experiments there. She doesn't really do much there. And when Link finally arrives, she befriends him. You know, she's like, hey, I can upgrade your runes for you. Hey, I can unlock pictures for you. And so, yeah, she literally makes him light the ancient flame, which never gets unlit, so that means she must have unlit it herself, because she can't exactly do any research without it. But basically, she makes Link relight the ancient flame, which, you see, giving people small tasks to do actually boosts the trust between you guys, because it's like, hey, I'm doing something for you, you must be a good person. So that's basically what her mindset is. Now, when she eventually does fix Link's picture rune, the first picture Link ever takes is of her. Well, not ever, but first picture Link takes after the calamity is of her. She specifically requests a picture of her. That shows her pride, because whenever Link opens up his photos, what's the first one he's gonna see? Like the very first photo he took that wasn't already in the compendium. That's right, it's of Pura. Now, what she doesn't do is make herself seem dangerous. She doesn't give Link any meaningful upgrades, right? She just gives him a couple rune upgrades, you know, to justify her existence. Now, contrast that to Robbie, which gives Link a bunch of ancient armor and weapons, and yeah, that's substantial. It's very substantial. Now, Simon is in an important role because he is the, well, her main assistant. But the main thing is that Simon is in an important role. He is very important right now. So, after Link destroys Calamity Ganon, there is a couple-year period between Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. And this is really when Pura's master plan unfolds. So, the Guardians got shut down after Breath of the Wild. In fact, all the Sheikah Tech does, basically. And the Sacred Ground Ruins becomes unguarded. So that is a major problem, because the Sacred Ground Ruins is where the secret lab was from before the Calamity. That's where she's been doing all her experiments, and she does not want anyone finding out what she's been doing. So, she forms Lookout Landing, and hides the lab underneath it because she needs to have an alibi for going there constantly or for living there. So what better alibi for living there than create a town around it? So she hoards all the Sheikah tech underground, and I believe she obtained the Sheikah tech. That's where all the Sheikah tech went, like all the shrines from Breath of the Wild. I know there's like some book out there that says once the use of the Sheikah tech to destroy the Calamity went away, the tech also went away, but that's just dumb and doesn't account for the Guardian that we see in the Hateno Tech Lab, or, well, the Purah Tech Lab, actually, in Tears of the Kingdom. So, why would, like, all the ruins and all the Guardians except one disappear magically? And that's right, it doesn't. I believe that Purah sent out a bunch of people and started hoarding the Sheikah Tech underground, underneath the lab. Now, she rebrands a lot of the technology after herself. Like, tell me one good thing the Purah does that's better than the Sheikah Slate. I mean, it looks kind of cool, but it doesn't really accomplish much. So, I believe in this gap period, she discovers the depths and sees, hey, there's a lot of souls here. I can use this power. And eventually, she sets up the Skyview Towers with her technology. Now, Skyview Towers will become important later. I'll talk about them. And she becomes a lich with the soul technology. She runs a bunch of experiments and eventually becomes a lich. So let's talk about Lookout Landing for a little bit. It's in the center of Hyrule Field, but not at the castle. The castle is already built. You just gotta restore it a little bit and then move back in. Why would you not make your central base at the castle? Just give it a new paint job, fix some of the windows, fix some of the walls. Why create a totally new settlement 5 feet from it? It doesn't make any sense. It only makes sense within the context that there was something very important underground. And the thing underground already is not that important. So that's why I think it's Tech Lab, though. Now, there's one house in Lookout Landing, and that is Purah's house. Okay? This just exemplifies her pride. There were lots of guards there, so that if she ever gets attacked, if anyone realizes she's a lich and tries to kill her, she'll be protected. There was a Skyview Tower for intel, so I'll talk about the Skyview Towers later because there's something very important with them. There was a literal bargainer statue. Yes, like one of those things that you trade souls for power there. It's literally there, out in the open. I mean, come on. So, Lookout Landing is the center of monster hunting operations. So it's where all the data is. It controls the military, basically. And there's lots of traffic there. It's a very central location. Lots of people pass by it, I would assume. So nobody would notice if a person or two goes missing, right? Like if a person randomly disappears, they assume that they just left. They're on the way. But I think Pura is capturing them in the secret lab and feeding off their soul for power. That's right. That's why I think it's happening. So, in Tears of the Kingdom, Pura's image is impeccable, unimpeachable. She's seen as a loving and caring scientist, especially by the community, but that's a bit non-canon. Link is given easy tasks to fix the Skyview Towers, which enforces the idea that they are good, and Link approves of them, right? So, why are all the Skyview Towers, like, randomly crippled for some reason? Like, why is the door stuck on them? Are they not operational? Why does Link need to fix it? Why can't other people fix them? And And Link is the best knight of all of Hyrule. We have to remember to Age of Calamity, where he was the top knight, period. He was the best. So why is he not leading the monster hunters? I mean, surely, with all the intel from the Skyview Towers, like, he could cut off and eradicate the monsters, but he doesn't. He doesn't lead it. Why not? I believe that monsters are being used as a way to justify Purah's new technology. So, basically, it's like the Patriot Act. It's authoritarian that Purah can just spy on you with Skyview Towers, but it is justified as being needed because of all the monsters. And I believe she's controlling both sides of conflict, or at least managing her own side at the very least. You know, not making sure the monsters destroy too much, and not making sure monster hunters eradicate the monsters. Now, here's what I want to talk about the Skyview Towers. So, for Google Maps, there are vans that go around, and they record the surrounding area, right? And then they're able to be viewed remotely. Now, these are remote, and they move around, and they often take a couple of years to update, because it takes a couple of years before another van comes by. Anyway, the Skyview Towers are not mobile. They are stationary. Stationary ways of gathering data, which I believe is why they're spying on everyone, all the time, constantly giving updates. Constantly. Just straight to Purah. Not even to Link, just to Purah. Now, here's where the Lich Queen Theory comes in. Skyview Towers are phylacteries, so in general lichdom, a phylactery is where basically a lich seals away his soul, his or her soul, and it's just a container for your soul, and that's generally where your physical body is resurrected. Now, I believe that Skyview Towers are phylacteries, and she managed to find a way to split her soul across various phylacteries. So, going back to the regular theory, with troops from each town, Zelda gone, and Link on his own, she's basically the ruler of Hyrule without any drawbacks. Because when something goes wrong, she can just say, oh well, I'm a scientist, not a ruler. There's no accountability there. So, let's talk about her technology. So, I believe she's using the souls from travelers to gain power, and building an army of the undead underground. I mean, once your soul is taken from you and used for power, what do you do with the bodies? Alright, you can use them as undead. And so why not build an army for yourself? I mean, that was the problem with the Guardians, is that they could be corrupted because they were technology. But an army of undead is only loyal to one person, Purah. Now, she has a human army in the form of the monster hunters, right? So she controls all the monster hunters, she gives them information. Hey, you should raid this, you should raid that. Now, I believe she is scrapped and moved to the underground lab of the Hateno Tech Lab. Because, as stated previously, the Hateno Tech Lab was on a hill. And so, if you say, if Link got a how to ascend, it would be very problematic if he found your secrets. So, ultimately, she had it scrapped. She had her buddy, her scientist Simon, scrap it all, right? And then Simon is also set to look after the lab. Now, Simon went from being her partner, basically, in Breath of the Wild, to teaching children in Tears of the Kingdom. Why is he teaching children? Like, anyone can do it. This is the top scientist, and he's teaching children about history and stuff. Anyone else could do that. But why is it him? I believe he is only there so he can watch over the Hateno Tech Lab and make sure Link doesn't investigate anything. He's basically filling Purah in on everything going on. So let's talk about the future. Where Purah can go from there. What she wants to happen is that nobody questions her, right? Nobody questions why she's taking more power, or no one's questioning why there's a bunch of Skyview towers looking at him. Nothing bad is happening. And so eventually she'll make more technology and more efficient technology and basically gain more power. She makes everyone become reliant on her technology. And Lookout Landing grows as a hub for travelers because she still needs more souls, new fresh souls, to come in and out uninterrupted. And so basically, she's going to grow in power as a lich with more souls that she consumes. And she stays as the head of Hyrule without officially being in power, which means she has no responsibility. So when something doesn't go wrong, or something goes wrong, she doesn't get blamed. And when something goes right, she gets the credit. Now, she can discredit all of her opponents as being anti-science, because she's a scientist, not a ruler. And eventually, she wants to live forever. She doesn't even need to kill Link and Zelda, because they could just die of old age. And when nobody's left to stop her, she controls all the technology in the world. She won't even need to take Hyrule by force with an undead army. She'll already have Hyrule in her pocket. Now, if someone tries to stop her, like if some random person figures out the conspiracy, realizes what she is, and realizes that the Skyview Towers are her phylacteries, then they will try to probably destroy them. Now, if you destroy a Skyview Tower, it'd be viewed as insane, crazy, because people need the towers for intel against the monsters. So people will try to stop you. It's like, hey, why are you destroying this? This helps us. You're crazy. And so people become shepherded away from the cause of destroying the towers. And like people start guarding the towers to make sure they don't get destroyed even more. Now, destroying one tower takes a lot of time. Like, nothing can be destroyed instantly, basically. And it's very noticeable because these are large structures. Like, you'll be noticed instantly if it's destroyed. Which means guards will come and protect the other phylacteries, the other towers. Now, let's talk about who even has the power to destroy Purah at this point. Because Purah controls all technology. She has all the opinion and love in the world. She's highly respected. So who has the power? I believe only Link and Zelda have the power, politically or physically, to end her, to destroy her. Because Link probably has the physical power. I mean, he stopped Ganon. And Zelda has the political power. She's more well liked. And she can probably get her own gods to turn on her. So, with Zelda often gone due to being kidnapped by Ganon, or traveling through time, or whatever, or being a dragon, and Link being friends with Purah, she probably won't ever be stopped. Because how's Link gonna find out? Huh? Is he gonna stab her? No, he won't. He won't ever find out. I just don't see a reason. Because you can't kill people in Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom. And so you can never really find out what happens. And so ultimately, I believe she will win in the end. Now, there is one thing I haven't mentioned, and that's Ganon. I don't believe Ganon will be able to stop her. I mean, sure, Ganon controls the monsters and whatever, but she's raising an undead army alongside a real army. Like, I don't think Ganon is physically strong enough to be able to stop her at this point, and certainly not in the future. And so that's the Zelda Lich Queen theory, that she'll eventually take over Hyrule, She's a lich. She's been kidnapping people. She's evil. Well, thank you for watching. I think I'm going to wrap this up.